Of note, not necessarily. Some guys will miss a little bit of time. Cody Ford yesterday had a concussion in practice, so he's in the protocol. Marvell Tell, same thing from the game, concussion protocol. So Marvell missed practice yesterday. DJ Turner, just some soreness, so he didn't do a lot yesterday. Continue just to see him day to day from there. We'll limit BJ Hill. He had some soreness, just lower body soreness yesterday, so we'll limit him. Those are the ones that stand out in my mind unless there's somebody else specific.
I think Miles working.
Yeah, Miles is getting over his illness, so he was better yesterday and expect better today.
We saw Cheeto work a little bit in 7-on-7. So,
Yep.
That, and kind of what's the progression?
Really good, and we'll just see. We don't have 7-on-7 today, so again, we'll continue to play it day to day of when we start to incorporate him into team drills. But he's done everything that's been asked of him, and everything so far has looked good. And we'll just continue to manage him slowly as we integrate him into drills.
How hard has it been to manage it? Because I know he wants to get at it.
Yeah, but he understands where we're coming from. He understands the time frame of what's going to be needed to get ready for the season. And so he's had to my really good perspective about the whole thing, and has really attacked it the right way.
What makes Troy Walters one of the best in the business?
I think you start with the person, number one, and it's somebody that everybody can respect just because of the way that he carries himself and lives his life, and one of the best people I've ever been around. Spends a lot of time on his craft. He's somebody that not only has done it at an extremely high level, but at the same time continues to work on that, to hone it. He's not just someone, okay, I did it, so what I say goes. He spends a lot of time studying it and stays on his guys. That's a really hard, it could be a really intimidating group to coach if you didn't have the correct mindset to do it, because they're so talented. They're at the top of their game. But he keeps raising the standard with that group and is very demanding of them, and they respect the heck out of that because those are the types of guys they are. And so, he's someone that, you immediately sought to add to your staff when he was available, because I'd worked with him at A&M. I knew all these things that came with Troy. And so, again, he's been a home run hire, home run person, and we're very lucky to have him.
That energy, the same back at A&M, back in the day?
Yeah, we were both kind of in the infancy stages of coaching. I was when Troy came, I was in my third year coaching probably. I think he was in his second. He'd been at Indiana State for a year or two maybe, and then we hired him as the receiver coach. So he was older than me obviously, but in the infancy stages of his coaching. So he was learning how to coach as well, but did a great job developing those guys we had there.
What's your view of the backup quarterback battle right now?
It's I thought both guys did some things that we needed to see in the game, managing the 2-minute situations at the end there. That race is not over yet. We've talked to both those guys. We'll keep that in-house where it stands today, and let them get through this game. That decision's not been made. But we've got 3 days of work left this week, and then we got a game, and then we have to make the decision. So we've communicated with those guys on where things are right now. I'll keep it internal for the time being. But certainly after this game, we've got to make a decision because time's running out for the first game.
Obviously, you guys would be always doing due diligence on if there's other options outside that you would look into. How challenging would it be to have another quarterback have to come in a week before the opener and be the backup? Is that something that's even feasible in your eyes, or how hard is that?
I think anything's feasible. But at the same time, there are a lot of nuances to our offense where when you're asking a guy to learn that quickly and be able to operate in a game, it's a challenge. Challenge in any system. I think it's a challenge in our system. These guys, I like where they're headed mentally with our system. I like where they're headed physically in terms of operating with the urgency and the communication that we want, the accuracy. I think both of them have gotten better over training camp. I've been really pleased with that. So again, two guys that are really headed in the right direction right now. And again, a couple more practices to see how it shakes out.
It's fair to say the safest, the best case scenario for you is one of those two guys really establishes it and takes it on Saturday, and you feel comfortable going ahead with them, not to look anymore.
Yeah, and incorporate the practices as well. We've got plenty of opportunities in practice that we build in to be able to assess those guys, and so again, we'll take in the full picture and make a decision from there.
Is the plan to get one the first half and one the second half again?
Probably not that long. I'd like to see Reed get in the game. So we'll get Reed in the game in the fourth quarter, maybe sooner than that. But those other guys will certainly get some time yet. Specifically, you go into a game saying, all right, they're probably going to get the same amount of time. How that's going to shake out. I mean, their first drive took 10 minutes the other day, and so if you went in saying, all right, so-and-so's getting the first, so-and-so's getting the second, you'd immediately change your opinion after that first 10-minute drive. So I've just learned you just got to be flexible with those decisions.
You wouldn't alternate guys, right? It would be
Not in series, no. I'd let one guy play and then the next guy go on. Yeah.
With being able to clear Mitchell Wilcox
Mhm.
today, at this point, because you guys have so much familiarity with him, is it assumed that he is the number 3 tight end, or is he in competition with Tanner? Like, where do things stand with him coming back and that number 3?
There's a lot of trust with Mitch, just from the time that he's been here over the last 3 years. But certainly everyone's still competing for those jobs, and until things are all done, no one's cemented their status anywhere. And so now you get a chance to see him do the physical part of things, have contact and see how quickly he can get his feet back under him that way. He hasn't done anything in many months in terms of physical nature of contact. And so, but pleased with where Mitch is at, pleased with how his rehab's gone, and now he's in a space where we can get him into practice, see how he looks.
Any workload changes for Burrow throughout the course of the week? Does the workload going to look like it has been?
Yeah, normal.
When a guy is kind of getting ready for the season, but watching other quarterbacks and not being able to watch their own tape, as a guy who played quarterback, what's that challenge like, and how does someone get good at watching tape?
Well, I think everybody's a little bit different, and he's at the level he is for a reason. Again, this isn't his. I can't tell you. I was fortunate to never have an injury like he's sustained. So I can't put myself in his shoes. But again, he's gotten himself to this spot for a reason, and over the last 3 years, he's had to deal with similar circumstances. So again, he's a veteran at this.
How do you see the backup swing tackle thing going? Did Jackson go out to see if it kind of had the edge?
I saw really good things with Jackson. Again, I'm not going to name roles or anything like that, but I thought Jackson had a good performance the other night and showed some really positive things.
Brian yesterday was saying that it's a little bit different this year with Burrow because he didn't lose the weight that he did with the appendectomy, and he wasn't really able to put weight on certain parts of his body. So is there a certain amount of time that you would think he would need to be able to get through a full reps of practice for him to be able to play week 1, or is it something where you just kind of...
1 rep. He needs 1 rep. No, but it's different. It's a different injury. I would imagine, I hate speaking for other people, but last year it's an unknown. How is contact going to feel? How is it going to feel when I torque? There's a lot of things with an internal injury that I can't speak to. I would imagine that's a whole different mindset you have to have. Whereas this one's, in the calf, and he looks great. I mean, physically, just walking around, he looks probably as good as he's ever looked at this point. And so that's a positive, and we'll just go from there.
Has he recovered enough? We saw him throw, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Are you having him throw regularly, I assume?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Has he recovered enough yet, Zach, in his recovery from the calf strain that you're starting to put together a plan for him to return to practice?
We've had a plan throughout, and so that's just something that daily, since the day it happened, we go through and decide what's going to be best for the next day.
Back to Browning, just what are the qualities you've liked about him, bringing him in, keeping him around, and putting him in this race?
I think, Jake has now been here for several years. And so he understands the system, how you want to operate. So that's an advantage he had from the jump. I think that his urgency has continued to increase lately. I really like that. He does a great job just as a leader. Guys believe in him, and as he moves around and operates, there's a confidence there that guys have, and you see that from Trevor as well. But Jake's, you can see why he's had a really successful high school career, really successful college career. He's getting these opportunities in the league to fight his way up a depth chart. Really has been the story of his career, and he's approached it the right way. Very likable guy. That's critical from backup quarterbacks, that they get along with everyone in the building and they fit in well with the quarterback room and the coaching staff. And I think that's what you've really seen from Jake and Trevor both. They both fit that criteria, and that's a necessary criteria in my eyes.
In fact, some coaches would like maybe a change of pace from their backup quarterback, give the defense something that they haven't prepared for all week, versus having a backup quarterback who essentially mimics what the starting quarterback does, knows the system that the starting quarterback operates under. Do you have a preference?
Yeah, the former. Certainly two schools of thought there. I would imagine mine has always been, a guy who operates similar to how your starter operates. And, we wouldn't all of a sudden become a zone read team and doing all this stuff that would require a quarterback that you want to put in harm's way more often than not because of their skill set. So we tend to like guys that can throw from the pocket as their number one trait. And I think that's the guys that we have right now.
What have you seen from Charlie Jones as a punt returner?
Not a lot of opportunity, right? So it's a small sample size, secures the ball when he catches it. That's good. Time on task will be critical, and so we haven't gotten a lot of returns the way that the two games have shaken out so far. We've obviously divvied it up amongst several guys. So again, just time on task, I think will continue to help him. He's gotten plenty of returns in college, and we work it in practice, different in a game, obviously. So continue to get those guys more work, hopefully in this third game.
Shedrick Jackson had a pretty productive game in Atlanta. Anything specific stand out about areas he's improved since he's come in?
Yeah, I think he's caught on to what we want, just from a knowledge of the offense standpoint pretty quickly. He's a guy that I've gained trust in, that he's going to line up correctly and do the right thing, which can be challenging for new receivers in this offense because we don't really miss a beat from previous years. We're hitting the ground running pretty quickly because we have many guys back from last year. And so it's a challenge for those new receivers. I think Shed has done a really good job of, studying time with Troy and Brad, however he's gone about it. I've got trust that he knows what to do, and he'll make a play when the ball comes his way.
Do you like the versatility and the different types of players you have in the second group?
Yeah, we've got many guys in there. They're all competing. They've all got their redeeming qualities. And again, that'll be a position we continue to evaluate on how it's going to look, at the final decision time next week.
Back to Charlie Jones, have you had conversations with him, or do you have a sense of how much pain he's actually played through with that injury?
Well, I just, from experience dealing with other guys, I know that that's a challenge. Initially, weeks after, week and media after, we've dealt with this with Logan, we've dealt with this with T. There's been several other guys that I'm not mentioning right now, but it is a plus that he's continuing to play through that. And we know that deep down there's probably, I'm speaking for him again, he hasn't said this to me, but there's probably a little nagging there.
Game reps are probably the most critical in your evaluation process. Obviously, you have to see if guys can play in the game, but practice snaps, is it a tiebreaker? Is it more than that in your evaluation process? How does the body of work of all those practices weigh against game reps?
Everything. Everything weighs in, and man, does one weigh more than the other? It can change by position. It can change by the amount of opportunities people have had in one or the other, how they factor into special teams, how other positions are measured, injuries at other positions. There's so many things that can weigh into the final cuts. Your message to guys is just control what you can control. Make the most of your opportunities when you get the reps you have. And you're not necessarily competing with a guy at your position like you always assume. You could be competing with someone somewhere else, and just continue to provide value and show that you deserve it to be here, and ultimately we'll have to make those final decisions.
Yeah, you've coached Joe Mixon a long time. What are the expectations?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
You coached Mixon now for
5 years
in the league, 7 years. What do you expect from him this season, and what makes this a successful year for him on the field this year?
Yeah, I think just as an offense, we want to continue to operate at a very high level, be one of the top offenses in the league, and score points. How many rushing yards a game or how many passing yards a game we have does not matter to me. We just want to be one of the top scoring teams in the league, do a great job possessing the ball when we need to, and keeping our defense off the field and controlling the game that way. And I think that things will shake out how we want them to. So that's just the key for the entirety of the offense.
You spent last week hammering on the idea of discipline and being more responsible in that regard.
Yep.
Just curious, I know it's not something you want to see, but how did Jordan Bauer respond after the taunting penalty?
As we had hoped, and that's for young players, they got to learn that we're off the field there, after the third down, and then they get a chance to continue the drive. And there's just such little room for error in these real games, and guys have to understand that. And he knows that. He's played at a high level at a high big team, and it's a good learning lesson. Sometimes I'm happy that these flags get thrown. I'm mad in the moment at the officials for throwing it. I was trying to defend our guys a little bit, but when you see it, how it unfolded, it was a good flag. Not only was it the right call, but it was probably good for all of our young guys to learn from that and how it can impact our team.